What if you could actually see history instead of just reading about it? I mean, what if you could walk alongside Nelson Mandela on his long, tough journey to freedom? Well, today, we're going to explore how new AI tools are starting to make that a real possibility.
Okay, so let's really get into this. Forever, we've basically been history's detectives, right? We're piecing together the past from all these scattered clues, a faded photo, an old letter, a story someone remembers. But what if we could do more than just piece it together? What if we could actually see it all unfold?
These snapshots, they're powerful for sure, but that's all they are. Snapshots. Just these frozen moments in time. But history isn't static, you know? It's a living, breathing, and honestly often messy story. And now, for the first time ever, we have technology that might just be able to bring that whole story roaring back to life.
And look, this isn't some kind of science fiction. AI can now recreate historical scenes with just jaw-dropping accuracy. Think about it. You could virtually walk through an ancient Roman villa, and what you're seeing could be 89% accurate to the actual blueprints dug up by archaeologists. Now, just imagine what a technology like that could do for a story as massive and as important as Nelson Mandela's.
So that's our big question today. We're going to use Mandela's own book, Long Walk to Freedom, as our guide, and we'll break down his life into a series of prompts, the same kind of instructions you'd give an AI, to see if we can get a more vivid, more human picture of his incredible journey.
So our story starts in the rolling hills of Kunu. This is where a young boy named Rolihlahla Mandela first learned about defiance from his father and about the deep wisdom of leadership from a local regent. This is really where the man who would change an entire nation truly began.
You know, in the AI world, they've got this term, character consistency. It's all about making sure a character feels real and stays the same across a whole long story. Well, for Mandela, that consistency, those core traits, they were forged way back in his youth, and they would define him for his entire life. And this right here, this quote just perfectly sums up that foundation. This one simple idea, the shepherd leading from behind, it became the absolute cornerstone of Mandela's philosophy on leadership. It's a lesson he carried with him all the way from the fields of Kunu to the presidential office. Okay, so let's see how this all built. Mandela gets thrown from the quiet rural world of Kunu right into the buzz and chaos of Johannesburg, a city of incredible wealth, but also of deep, dark shadows. And it was here that he came face to face with the brutal, everyday reality of apartheid. You see, the kind of racism Mandela ran into wasn't always obvious. A lot of the time, it was hidden behind this thin veneer of politeness, a nice smile that was covering up something really ugly. This is the kind of soul-crushing hypocrisy he got to deal with every single day. And then, boom, the mask just rips right off. "No color bar," she said. And, in the very next breath, she shows him the ugly truth: separate cups. A tiny little detail that just completely exposed the deep, festering wound of racism that infected every single corner of that society.
And that's what's so important to get here. There wasn't one big aha moment for Mandela. His commitment to the struggle, it was forged in the fire of 1,000 tiny injustices, 1,000 daily humiliations, just like the one with the teacups. It was a slow, painful awakening to a world that seemed hell-bent on breaking him.
So this is it. This is the point where that slow burn of injustice just erupts into a raging fire. This is where the long walk really truly begins, a journey that would take him through the darkest parts of activism, through the fire of the courtroom, and straight into the living hell of Robben Island.
And if you look at how it all played out, you can see the struggle against apartheid wasn't some straight line. It was just this series of escalating showdowns, this desperate dance of defiance and resistance that was pushing everyone to a point of no return. 27 years. Just let that sink in for a minute. 27 years. That's a lifetime stolen. It's an entire generation's hope held captive. This is the unbelievable price that Nelson Mandela and so many others paid for the dream of freedom. They tried to break their spirits with the mind-numbing, soul-crushing monotony of prison life. But here's the thing. It didn't work. Because in the darkness of Robben Island, something new was being forged. It became a kind of university for the struggle, a government in waiting, built on the absolutely unbreakable will of men who just refused to be broke. And then, after a lifetime of struggle, after almost 3 decades behind bars, the long walk was finally nearing its end. The prison doors swung open, and the entire world just held its breath as a brand new chapter in the history of South Africa started to be written.
I mean, can you even imagine this moment?
It's the stunning climax. The creature of the night, the man who was hunted and hunted, was now the president of a free nation. And he was standing in the very heart of the power that had once tried to completely erase him. It's the moment that proved that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit cannot be locked away.
And this, to me, is maybe the most incredible part of the whole story. After all that pain, after all the suffering, after all those years of darkness, he still believed in the goodness of humanity, in everyone. That right there is the true measure of the man. That's the flame that could never be put out.
So, wow, we've walked with Mandela on this incredible journey. Now let's circle all the way back to where we started. How can we use the power of this new technology to make sure that this story and so many others like it are never, ever forgotten?
With a tool like AI, we can make sure that the Mandela we see is the real Mandela. We can make sure that proud rebelliousness we saw in the boy from Kunu is visibly connected to the wise, patient leader from Robben Island and then to the president who healed a wounded nation. We could create a portrait of a man that is as complex and as consistent as the man himself was. But, and this is a really big but, we have to be so careful here. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but it's not a magic wand. It's only as good as the information, the prompts that we feed it. If we're not careful, we could end up creating a version of the past that is just as twisted and dangerous as the one we're trying to escape.
So this is the real challenge, isn't it? It's on us. Can we use this incredible new technology to create a more honest, a more complex, and ultimately a more human vision of our past? Can we use it to help us build a better, more understanding future?
Because when you strip everything else away, this is the lesson that Mandela's life teaches all of us. It's a profound truth that's more powerful than any technology, more enduring than any single story. It's a lesson about our shared humanity that we just have to never, ever forget.
The tools we use to tell our stories might change, from pigments on a cave wall to pixels on a screen. But the stories themselves, they remain. And how we choose to tell those stories, how we choose to see our past, that will always, always determine the kind of future we decide to create.